Welcome back to Go Fund This. Today we are talking to Amin Amat about The Road to Volume 1. It's a graphic novel of the untold story of how surviving Oz failed. Did I say that right? I don't know. You know what? Anyone that listens to the show knows I'm probably going to get it wrong. But they also know that my heart's in the right place. Because unlike the Tin Man, I already have the heart. Like the Scarecrow, a little light on the brain area. And don't get in a fight with me because I will curl up in a ball because I am just like the Cowardly Lion. Okay, so Amin, welcome to the show. I'm excited to talk to you. Let's start off before we get into this whole Kickstarter thing.
Sure.
Let's tell the audience about you. What do you do? What's your background? Let's start there.
Yeah. So I'm illustrator and developer, but I've been drawing comics for probably a good, I'm gonna say 20 years, more or less, here and there, sporadically. A lot of work with Moonstone Books. I think I really got noticed doing Buckaroo Banzai Origins and Kolchak at Moonstone, which were two.
Oh my God, I love the Buckaroo Banzai book.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was you, man.
That was me. That was me.
Oh, I'm a big fan.
A lot of stories on that book, and was because it was wicked fun to do. I did get to talk and a lot with W.D. Richter and Mac, the directors and writers of the movie and the character, and it was really fun. Like a lot of tidbits that I was able to put into that book that they couldn't do when they did the movie. So they're like, yeah, put that and put this, and we wanted to do this, but we had budget constraints. I was like, well, we don't have that now. I'm drawing it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then from there, talking with Joe Gentile, he actually had me then move on to Kolchak the Night Stalker for a story that was actually it was a Matheson script for an unfilmed TV movie, Richard Matheson, and I jumped on that immediately once I saw it.
Really?
And that was a lot of fun, a lot of stuff that was going behind the scenes on that one, and I had the time of my life on that. And once that kind of picked up, I started slowly doing some work with IDW. Probably the big one was kind of like CodeWord Geronimo, which was the graphic novel about the Bin Laden raid. And then from there, me and this other partner, we did Iron Sky, which was that weird Nazis on the Moon.
Yep, I know what that is too. Everything.
Yeah.
You're hitting all the movies and things I like. So
yeah, it's funny because most of these were like known properties, and then being able to kind of get a little bit behind the scenes for the books I was drawing was interesting. And in Iron Sky, we were given a lot of stuff, but at the same time, we were given carte blanche. So that was really interesting on what can we do, what we can't do.
Yeah.
And then they showed us the Iron Sky people, and they were like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I wish we would have thought about that."
You had to have some really cool stuff to work with graphically too, because that was such an interesting looking film,
Yeah, and then from there, I was working with Tyler Button over at Tapestry Comics, and we were doing a book called Bayeux, which is about the Bayeux tapestries in France, and kind of like that sort of history. So it was like more historical.
Yeah, cool.
That was intense because I was doing a lot of the ink work, and when you start doing historical work, you really have to think about the detail and of course time constraints. I'm known to be pretty fast both as a penciler and as an inker, but you don't want to cut too many corners. That you want to look really good. That was the most challenging because it was like really kind of like chainmail, and then of course the horses and the castles and the brick, and a lot of texture in that book.
Yeah, a lot of small detail work.
Yeah, and then from there I was just doing a lot of smaller work, but during that time I was always thinking about, I want to do my own thing, but I couldn't really tie in on what I wanted to do. And it was just like I would start something and it's like, okay, it looks great, but the story just really was horrible. And I was like, no, I got to go more Pixar and really concentrate on the story rather than the artwork. And so I think for this one in particular, for Road 2, I started with character sketches and a basic idea, and then I shelved it. I shelved it for about almost a decade and change. just really thinking about, okay, what do I need to really do? And I think what it came down to is really have a little bit more life experience to kind of bring that in there. Now that I look back, that's exactly what I needed, because when the pandemic hit, I think that gave me the opportunity to kind of sit back and, like many people, find something to do. And so I just decided, let me dust off this particular project, and I was able to fill in a lot of the details, just thinking about my own life. And then once that ball rolled, the characters just started, and it's true what they say. The characters will start to write themselves as you keep going.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and in this particular case, because I'm not a writer per se, that was another struggle I had. I was like, should I write the script? How to write the script? I'm not that great of a writer. And then what I did was I just adopted a lot of the early Marvel days approach of just a plot and just start drawing away. And I figured I know exactly what's going to happen. I'll figure out the dialogue later, but I know exactly how it's going to be. So
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
I took a really heavy kind of from that playbook, obviously from Kirby and the early Stan Lee stuff, of just here's the basic plot, which I knew, and I just started drawing. So for 2.5 years, I was cranking away on that. I knew exactly what's going to happen, where the characters are going to go, and everything else, and more importantly, how it was going to end, and of course having something for volume 2, which I was looking for. I am still looking forward to, and actually I'm doing pre-production for that right now, regardless of the Kickstarter funds or not, because it's one of those passion projects. So, and it's been a lot of fun kind of going through that process. And now looking back, yeah, it was a slow process, but just Rome wasn't built in a day, and definitely a graphic
It
novel
wasn't?
isn't a day.
So, I mean, you mentioned volume two. Is this something that is two and done, or are you like, no, I want to keep going?
If things go according to plan, I think there is enough coming in from the characters now that I can branch off into even more stuff within that particular world. Um, because this all started when I read Wicked, and then I reread the first two books, and I was just like, huh. And then I think that's where the spark came in of finding a little space into it, where I'm still respecting both of the other properties,
Sure.
but still having something that's my own and unique. And I think that's where kind of it all came together. Now there's these characters, from I'm just going to mention, the girl Dorothy is in this, Scarecrow, obviously the wizard. Like, these characters at this point, they are almost writing their own story, so it makes it really easy for me to know where I'm supposed to go, and what stories to tell for now. But definitely, there's a lot of different avenues on where to go, and also kind of like where I will end volume 1 at, which I'm really hoping that people are gonna be really impressed and dig it. So hashtag spoilers.
Well, I can tell you just by looking at the Kickstarter, which we'll talk about in a second, like in more
Yeah,
detail. Looking at the panels you've put up, first of all, the artwork, kick ass, looks
thanks,
really
thanks,
great.
thanks.
I'm drawn into it immediately, no pun intended. I really, really, truly am digging it. And I'm also getting some story ideas just from what you shared, and it's really exciting. Like, I think you have found like a different way to play in that sandbox, which so many people. I mean, you mentioned Wicked, and then obviously the bomb books, but I mean, because it's been public domain. A million people have played in this sandbox, and sometimes I'm like, wow, and other times I'm like, okay, they told the
Yeah,
story again.
yeah, yeah.
This looks like you're going. I got a different story to tell. Here's the sandbox. It's really cool, man. I really like it.
Well, thanks. Thanks.
Um,
I do have to give a little bit of credit to the Kill Shakespeare crew, because I saw what they did. And I did get to talk with them many years ago at New York Comic Con, and it was a similar process for them. They're big into Shakespeare, and they love Shakespeare, and I think that they love graphic novels and comics, and they're like, where can we make a merge of the two? And then that's where Kill Shakespeare came around, which, if you haven't read it, do take a look. It's a really cool and unique take on that particular world of Shakespeare, which not too many people do.
Right.
That was always kind of dwindling in my mind. It's like, okay, how did they do it? Okay, then let me figure out a way that I could figure out my own way of getting into this particular world, especially with Oz, because like many people, I do enjoy it, and there's a lot of stuff in there that I think would be really cool to do and different takes. And I think, yeah, eventually I just decided respect the original material, but give it a new spin. And I think by doing that, I've ended up creating this world that is familiar, but very rich, very complex. And there's a lot going on. I did a few people that have had the luxury of seeing the work as it is. They're able to understand the story just with the visuals, and there are a lot of questions on, like, what's going on in the background, and how are things, and more about the infrastructure of Emerald City, really, which is what I intended, because I really wanted to push what this version of Emerald City would be, and that it makes sense for us to understand it. So there's a nice big double page spread I have, which when people are going to see it, they're going to be like,
Exciting.
oh.
Because the images you've got here already, and especially these colored images of Dorothy with the scarecrow, the one right at the top. I mean, these are absolute dynamite. I love these. I'm already in love with this. So now we can talk about it as a Kickstarter. So on GoFundMe, uh, here's what I want to do. First of all, it is called The Road to Volume Number 1. You can find it on Kickstarter. The link will be in the show notes. As of right now, at the recording, now we're recording it a few days before this episode is going to air. It's got 41 days to go. By the time it airs, I think it'll have like 37 or something days to go. You're at you've got a goal of 15,000. You're at almost 3,000. Got a good start. Things are moving. 43 backers. But if you're listening to this and you're hearing how much I'm truly digging this, I urge you to go look at it. I urge you to fund this thing, because I want to see what happens in volume 2. And like you said, it's going to happen regardless. But why strap the poor guy? Let's get this thing funded. It's a great project. It's a really interesting story, and I love the title, The Road to. The logo you have for that is just really captivating. So once again, it's on Kickstarter. It's called The Road to Volume 1. And you can find it in the show notes or by looking that up. Okay, let's get into the Kickstarter a little bit. First of all, what's the goal with the Kickstarter? What are you trying to do with this?
So the goal is to get funding, obviously, for the colorist and the lettering, as well as the printing costs. And like I mentioned in the Kickstarter, I originally had thought, let me just do this as 4 different issues. But the more I thought about it, and the more I was talking with people, especially when they were seeing the finished pencil work, it made more sense to do it as a graphic novel, because there's the time of printing and everything in between
Right.
that whole process, and also, I'm also one that I love to binge watch stuff, so I figured, you know what, let me just give it all at once, so that way you can get the full experience from beginning to end of volume 1. And then instead of doing individual issues, I'll turn that into chapters, and then each graphic novel will be the equivalent of an issue. And it's really because the more I started seeing people's reaction to it, the more I noticed it has a different and more immersive experience when you see it from through all 4 chapters, rather than kind of like that little chunk per se. And so, yeah, it's to cover those particular costs. And if it goes over, then of course, I do have already kind of like some extra rewards to
Hey, we're not to stretch goals yet. Hold on. Man, an excitable boy.
Yeah, no, I have everything all kind of lined up, so it's just
Yeah,
like,
no, I got it. All right, let's talk about tiers. You don't need to go through all the tiers, but what are a couple that you think people are going to be most excited about?
the one that has caught me off guard was the reaction to, there's a tier that I have that you can get 2 sketches and copies of the books and print. And that one has gotten enough, I would say, a number of backers more than I originally thought at this point in time. And I think that probably I do have some other rewards that are coming out as and within next week and the week after to kind of entice some more. The one that I threw in there because it's something I thought, why the hell not, was the ultimate bundle. So essentially the ultimate bundle, not only do you get copies of unused pages and original pages from the book, but I'm going to throw in the copy of my editor notes, which is literally the full-size photocopies of the pages with all my notes on it.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
the storyboards for the entire first volume. You're going to get the original development sketches of stuff, which once you see the book, everything that you see in there from the uniforms to the city to some other machinery, I took my time to design all those, and you're going to get all that original artwork. It's going to be literally like the mother of all production bundles. So you not only do you get the finished product, but you get to see a lot of the behind the scenes and the original stuff
Yeah.
that you get to keep. So I figured, haven't seen that anybody do that, and I figured since I have a lot of stuff and eventually I'm going to have to empty out some space for volume 2, I just figured I'll hand this off to somebody so they can really enjoy it rather than for it to stay in my studio and collect dust.
I mean, really, if somebody's going for that ultimate bundle, you know that they really want something like this. What a great reward. That is fantastic. And actually, I want to highlight, just so that people understand, like that's a $1,200 bundle, which is a value for what you get there. Even if you can't go 1,200 bucks, $5 for the digital copy,
Mhm.
this is going to help get you there,
Yeah.
$10 for the, or $20 for the graphic novel. One thing, I was just actually talking to somebody yesterday about Kickstarters and tiers and everything, and they were kind of debating on prices. And I said, first of all, your prices are good, right? These prices are good. And I told them their prices were good because they were like, should I discount it further? And I said, let's face it, when I'm on a Kickstarter, I'm not looking for a bargain price. I can wait until it's on, some sale somewhere. I want to fund the project. So $5 for a PDF, knowing it's helping fund the project, that's a layup. $20 for a graphic novel, that actually feels like a bargain. 35 for a signed print. I mean, these are good value prices, and they're things that will help get this funded. So do it. Get a signed sketch, if you can't go for the ultimate bundle. But if you could do that ultimate bundle, please make Amin stay. Please. So let's go further here. Oh, first of all, how many pages are we looking at on this book?
We're about I so far I'm looking at about 110 pages
Oh, wow.
with probably eight, well, maybe 8 or 10 extra, depending. For obviously, thank you, and maybe just kind of like the hard, or at least the printed versions of some of the behind the scenes
Yeah, some
sketches.
sketches or something. I
Yeah,
always
you're
enjoy
not
that
gonna
in a
get.
graphic
Yeah,
novel.
you'll get a glimpse of whoever gets the mega bundle will actually enjoy in its true form. But you'll get a little bit of glimpse in there, and since I am already starting pre-production of volume 2, hopefully by then I should have at least some other like additional items to kind of entice for
Ooh,
volume 2. Um,
very cool.
yeah,
Oh, and I also want to stress something. You say it on your Kickstarter, but I want to stress this. This is appropriate for all ages. Nothing
yes,
super violent, just a few punches, maybe some explosions, maybe those
maybe.
terrifying flying monkeys. But otherwise, I mean, because I hear that about the original movie, even like people are like, "Oh, I didn't show my kids; the monkeys are too scary." It's like, really? This is an all ages movie. This is if you can handle that, you can handle this. But this does look super cool.
Yeah, it's I went. I'll be honest. I took a really Kirby approach in terms of the dynamism and the type of story that I was going to tell. Anyone can read a Kirby book, regardless of what it is. And yeah, I tapped back into that, back into the roots, really,
Yeah.
of doing that, having fun with it, but doing it in such a way where it's entertaining, it looks dynamic, and you want to see more. So that's been incredibly helpful. Yeah, and I do want everybody to read it. I don't want to. I don't want to just keep it for a certain age group. And at least not this story personally. I do have other stories which are definitely more age restrictive. But for
Sure,
this
sure.
particular story, I want everybody to enjoy it and being able to kind of help also to explore, this particular world offset from the
Yeah.
original and to enjoy
Well,
it.
what I like about what I'm seeing with this project is it does feel age appropriate, like it can be anything. Sometimes when I see people in comics playing in this sandbox, it's either so kiddie
Mhm.
that I'm not going to read it, or it's so adult that I'm not going to read it.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, this looks like I'm picking up a book going, hey, this is cool. I'm into it. You mentioned stretch goals. Now listen, if you don't want to reveal them, this is not the place that I'm going to force you. But if you know any stretch goals, once we've hit that number that you're looking for, 15,000, can you reveal any stretch goals?
One for sure that once it goes over the 15, to up the quality of the printing, that's an obvious. I will be throwing in, I think if things go well, I think if we can hit like 17 or 18,000, then I'm going to throw in variants in there for everybody that's ordered a physical copy. So
Cool.
you don't have to pick one. It's going to be automatic. So
Yeah.
anyone that may have just gotten the one graphic novel, if we're up that high, you're going to get the
Get the
variant.
variant. That's great.
Yeah, and then I think if it, knocking on virtual wood, if it happens to hit, let's say 25 or 30, then I will do a unique artist edition version of it, which is going to
Oh,
be
wow.
the same book, but with just seeing the pencils with all the notes and stuff like that. So essentially, you're going to get a hard copy of what the ultimate bundle person will have that they can see it in real size. Unless IDW calls, and then we'll do the full artist editions.
But you never know. You never
Yeah,
know.
you never know. And
Yeah.
there's probably other stuff. There's other stuff in there. I think right now I'm just kind of pacing myself and
Yeah.
making sure we can hit stuff. And there will be some other rewards that I am going to be releasing until we get to the 15. Um, just to kind of entice and
Chum the
because
water a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. We used to do the secret ones. We did a couple of campaigns for some live events we were doing, and we had the secret goals. And halfway through the campaign, I put up secret goals so you couldn't see what they were. But all of a sudden, it was like, oh, wait, what are these? And then I waited, and as we'd hit things, we'd pull a thing back and be like, oh, cool. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
worked. That worked really well. So, okay, so there's some stretch goals in the hopper. Sometimes people don't even have it thought about. I love that you have. I love the goal you're at. I think this is just a wonderful project. And I'm going to give everybody their marching orders. Go find The Road to Volume 1 on Kickstarter. You want to pledge, you want to get some rewards in there, but at the same time, the other thing you want to do is you want to share it, because this is a property people love. People love The Wizard of Oz, and they're
Mhm.
always interested in offshoots, and this is a unique take. Share it on your social media, let people know about it. You never know who's going to be that person that's like, I'm doing the ultimate, and he should have charged double because I would have done it at double. Uh, so share it across your social media. I know I'm a broken record with that, but do it. All right. I mean, thank you. And best of luck with
Thanks.
this Kickstarter. I cannot wait to see where this goes in the future.
Same here. Same here.